Hello everyone and welcome to Sarder TV. I'm Derek Dennis. Today we're talking to Gail Forkosh. She's the global head of learning and development for Vinod. Gail, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Gail, you're in the business of making businesses work better, more efficiently. How did you get into this line of work from an accounting background?
Yeah, it's a great question. Well, when the Sarbanes-Oxley Act was enacted of July of 2002, one of the requirements of the act was that companies demonstrate that they have strong internal controls and that their internal auditors have the proficiencies necessary to be able to review these controls and these processes. And so, of course, I volunteered to work with a learning organization to help create a learning strategy for the internal auditors. When the strategy was complete, I volunteered to stay on as a subject matter expert and to help facilitate courses. And I found that as I continued to teach classes, I really enjoyed watching my auditors grow in skills, proficiency, and confidence. I also found that I was learning something from each and every course, and I was becoming a better auditor. And that's when I first developed my love of learning. You know, training is a never-ending professional journey for everybody involved, and that's when I first developed my passion for it.
You've got quite a title, Global Strategic Leader in Learning and some other words. Tell us what you do. What does your title really entail?
Well, that's not my real title. So my real title is Global Head of Learning and Development, and my job as the leader of learning and development at Vinod is to ensure that the people that work for Vinod have the skills necessary to be relevant in today's job market and to be future ready by knowing the emerging technologies that are going to be required tomorrow. My learning strategy is basically predicated on three things. I help ensure that the learning organization fuels Vinod's growth by rotating the training to focus on these priority skills, because these skills are changing all the time. We want to make sure that every single person at Vinod receives a very personalized learning experience. And we also want to make sure that we look to create a digital learning culture, because for learning to be really effective, it has to be dynamic and it has to be accessible anytime and anywhere.
Your company, Vinod, was born out of a collaboration between Accenture and Microsoft. Tell us about that collaboration.
So the year 2000 was an exciting time for ID, right? Technological change was all around us, and it became quite clear that digital was going to be big. And Vinod was born into this pioneering time. The whole goal of forming Vinod was, the idea was to take the best of Accenture Consulting and combine it with the best of Microsoft technology to form a company that can go out there and offer innovative solutions to our clients using the Microsoft platform. So the idea is to take the best of both worlds and combine them together to form something very unique in the industry that we knew was going to be big. And that's what we do. Vinod professionals are very unique in that we offer very fresh, ideas that combine the best of technology, the best of business and industry acumen, to help our clients implement innovations using the Microsoft ecosystem and the Microsoft platform.
It sounds like Vinod is a middleman of sorts between businesses and Microsoft. Explain that.
Well, I don't know that middleman is necessarily the best way to describe us. At Vinod, we have over 30,000 digitally connected individuals in 24 countries, providing fresh, innovative advice to our customers, using a very collaborative approach, and reflecting the diversity and of the clients that we work with. I don't know that middleman is the best way to describe us, because I feel like we're unique. We're very different than anybody else. We have received the Microsoft Alliance Partner of the Year Award for 13 years now. We have more Microsoft certified professionals than anybody else, over 18,000. We've done more Microsoft Office implementations than any of the other Microsoft partners. So I think maybe unique is a different way of describing us. I don't know that middleman is just right.
Does every business need innovation and modernization, do you think?
That's an interesting question, and I'm sure there's differing opinions on that. I personally read a lot of books about, Sony, Atari, Blockbuster, and, it's amazing because these were leaders in their industry. These were giants, and suddenly one day they're gone. And so, I believe that the one thing we can count on in this life is change. And if we're going to survive that change, if we're going to thrive from that change, then yes, modernization, innovation is absolutely critical.
So those companies you just mentioned, Blockbuster, what happened? What do you think they missed somewhere along the line?
I think they were, very internally focused, and I think they failed to understand the industry around them. They failed to embrace the change. I think they resisted change. And as a result, they very quickly became obsolete. I mean, imagine Atari had such an advantage in gaming. Imagine if Atari, which all of us played when we were young, got into gamification. They would have such a head start over all the other companies that are there now. But again, they were resistant to change. They failed to innovate.
That goes into the next question. This generation of mom and pop stores, we hear so much about them falling by the wayside. Is that because they are not changing and innovating and growing?
It's an interesting question. A lot of people think that mom and pop shops can't afford to innovate, but I personally believe that it is more urgent for them to innovate. They are already at a disadvantage, right, because of the Blockbusters of the world, the Amazons of the world. I think that the only way for them to survive is to be able to offer unique services and goods and to embrace technology. If they embrace the right technology, not only will it make them more nimble, but it can give them an advantage over the giants that they're competing with. I think that they need technology more than anybody else to help level the playing field.
Collecting data is also important as a way to measure success and failure. How does data help in the learning process?
Yeah. That is an excellent question. I think data is our greatest friend in the learning process. So we use data two different ways. We use predictive analytics to help us determine what learning to focus on. We use predictive analytics to help us prioritize. So by looking at workforce planning data, by looking at jobs in pipeline, we're able to anticipate where we will potentially have skill gaps. And based on that, we are able to focus our resources to build those skill gaps so that we can proactively close those skill gaps before they have a chance to happen. So that's one way that data is important. It helps us prioritize, and it helps make learning more real-time, more meaningful, more relevant. On the back end, we use data to measure the effectiveness of our courses, right? Because the whole idea is that courses are helping to build proficiency. Courses are helping you get ready to do your job. So we use data on the back end to see if our courses are in fact effective, to see if they in fact have succeeded in helping to build proficiencies. And in addition to looking at the regular metrics like, have we increased revenue? Have we made people more productive? We also look at the actual proficiencies themselves to see if we are truly building those proficiencies in those priority skills that we know are important. So data is really important.
And Avanade really scales its programs to fit the type and size of the businesses, right?
Absolutely. I believe that, part of our evolution in learning has been to make learning more agile, to make learning more business focused, to make learning more business aligned. So yes, we have made lots of changes in learning recently to really enable us to scale, to enable us to be able to respond more quickly, and to enable us to be able to create programs, again, just in time to prepare people to serve their clients better.
Are businesses resistant to the work that Avanade is trying to help them with, to changing the way they do business?
It's a great question. So I think that I'm sure there's lots of businesses out there that are resistant to change. Those are not the ones that we work with, right? The ones that hire us because they want us to help them drive change through innovation, through the Microsoft platform. In fact, our growth strategy, which we refer to as Imagine 20, is based on the notion of driving innovation, driving disruption through change. So I think the companies that look for us are the ones that are ready to embrace this change and the ones that are looking for strategic partners to work with them to help make that change successful, to help optimize the investments that they're making to actually drive this innovative change.
So Avanade uses the visual of the old cell phone that just made phone calls versus today when cell phones are really smartphones. They do everything. Is that the kind of innovation that Avanade wants to be known for or is known for?
What Avanade wants to be known for is a company that embraces technological change and a company that helps our clients embrace technological change. We want to cement our position as being the leading digital innovator that works with clients to implement innovation, transformation, And it's actually one of the reasons that we value learning so much. And we put so much of an emphasis on building these priority skills because technology is constantly changing. And we want to make sure that the people that work for Avanade have the skills necessary, not just to be relevant today to support today's technologies, but be at the forefront of this technological change and be prepared to support the emerging technologies that are going to be important to our clients tomorrow. So this is one of the reasons that we really value continuous learning and lifelong learning at Avanade.
Let me ask a philosophical question.
Sure.
Isn't the world too modernized, a little too innovative in a sense? Are we losing something in the processes of trying to modernize our businesses?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, if you ask anyone at Avanade, we'll say, no, I don't think we're innovative enough. You know, we're in the business of driving innovation and transformation. I think we hear a lot of complaints about, you know, kids spending too much time on their phones, they don't have communication skills. And, you know, I think there's some truth to that. And at Avanade specifically, while we continue to focus on innovation, and again, we continue to focus on building, you know, these technology skills of the future, we're also very focused on ensuring that our consultants don't lose sight of, you know, professional skills. We have a curriculum that we call Consulting Excellence that is very focused on helping our consultants, you know, build their business acumen skills, their strategy skills, and most importantly, their communication skills, because we don't want communication to become a lost art at Avanade. So we're doing our part to help with the, you know, communication.
Sure. Talk about Avanade's approach to IT modernization. Is there a way to gauge a company's readiness to be modernized?
There absolutely is. There is lots of IT surveys out there. In fact, there's a really fantastic one on our portal, if you go to avanade.com, that really help you measure yourself against the competition to see how ready you are. We work with people at all phases of readiness. But there's absolutely lots of tools out there, lots of companies helping people figure out where they fall.
So in this day and age of mergers and acquisitions, of takeovers, how does Avanade compete? How does it stay relevant to the business world?
Great question. I think what makes the Avanade merger special is, you know, what we call as the secret power of three. You know, again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, Avanade was born from two industry giants. And part of what we do is we combine the best of business and industry insights, the best of consulting, with the best of modern technology and technology expertise to offer our clients innovative solutions that they would not be able to, you know, get anywhere else. And part of what makes the people that work for Avanade special is the training. I know a lot of people join Avanade because of the training opportunities, not just the opportunity to become certified, but people that work for Avanade have unlimited training to all Microsoft classes, to all Accenture classes, in addition to the classes that are specially created for them. So we have, you know, unlimited access to training. We also have the benefit of being able to leverage the best tools from Accenture and the best tools from Microsoft for free. So as an example, we recently leveraged Accenture's learning boards, which is a fantastic technology that has enabled us to promote informal learning by leveraging subject matter experts. It's a Pinterest-type board that provides a visual way of sharing information. So it's the power of three that I believe makes Avanade successful and special. Lots of advantages to being the child of these two industry giants.
As part of the work that Avanade does, it has access to all kinds of data by these companies. Mm-hmm. Essentially, Avanade becomes a third party to their data. Is that safe, having this data, you know, spread around these different companies?
I'm sure it's a question that a lot of people are asking, especially with the breaches, right? Well, I mean, I think with cloud technology on the rise, you know, third-party data management is going to become the norm. And I think for the most part, it is really safe. I know that at Avanade, we take data protection very seriously and invest heavily in ensuring that our clients' data is protected. A couple of things that we do each year are, you know, everybody that works for Avanade needs to complete an annual compliance course focused on data considerations. Every client that works with us completes a data protection program, participates in a data protection program. It's a two-part program that includes a very personalized assessment that they complete. And of course, every year we continue to invest in bringing in modifications, making improvements to ensure that the controls that we have in place are solid so that we can continue to protect our clients' data. It is extremely important to us and our leadership team, so we take it very seriously.
What about the fear factor, the fear and the challenges of change? A lot of these businesses that Avanade works with might have a real fear to change the way they practice, the way they do business. Yeah. How does Avanade get around that?
Again, at Avanade, we don't work around change. We help them embrace change. I think that in today's day and age, with everything around us changing so rapidly, really companies can't afford to not change. They can't afford to not embrace this new technology. While technology initially has a cost outlay, the whole purpose of IT modernization is to improve your workflows, improve your processes, to make companies more effective, more efficient, to drive their revenue up. So I think that companies that truly understand change and truly understand what change brings to the table, and companies that have the right partner to work with understand that it is not a nice to have. It is something that they must do in order to survive, in order to thrive.
Is there a time frame that Avanade talks about with these companies in terms of how long it might take to see the fruits of their labor in this new change environment?
I think it's different for every company and it's different for every implementation. There are some implementations that have immediate value. Things like Yammer, Microsoft Teams. You implement that and it changes the way you do work. So I think it really depends on every situation, every client, every product. It's very customized. It's very different. And again, that's what's unique about us is we don't. Every engagement is different. It's all very client-centric. It's all about giving the client what they need at that point in time to help them support their business strategy.
What about the adage, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? You might find some companies that feel like we're doing things right here. We're doing things well in this area. We may need help in another area. How does Avanade address that?
The companies that are not willing to change are not the companies that seek us out. For the companies that seek us out, we work with them to understand, their business approach, to understand what's working well, what's not working well, to understand their processes, to understand their workflow, to understand the goods and services that they offer. And all of our engagements are client-centric. It's all about the customer and their needs. It's not about selling products. It's about helping the customer perform better, helping the customer drive bottom line results.
Some of Avanade's tools for modernization are pretty simple, like using Skype. Others are a little more involved, like scrum.org or Yammer. How do you figure out which solutions work best for which company?
The solution is based on the company's unique needs. But I can tell you that using Avanade as an example, we're a global company. We work across different regions, different time zones, and we would not be able to be as effective without tools like Skype and Microsoft Teams and Yammer. We use these tools not just to help us communicate, but we also use these tools extensively to deliver training programs across the globe. So again, it depends on the company and their unique needs. But global companies absolutely can benefit greatly from tools like Microsoft Teams and Yammer and Skype. So we live by them.
So for people who don't know what Yammer is, talk about how it works.
Yammer is just it's just a really easy way to get a cohort group together and to communicate. It's a little bit like Facebook. It's like the professional Facebook. We use it to get real-time feedback. What we have at Avanade, we have people grouped in what we call talent communities, which are like skill families. And we use Yammer to provide job support. So, somebody will be out doing an implementation, they have a question, they'll post it on the Yammer group, and within minutes, you've got other people from the talent community sharing their experiences, providing thoughts, helping them to resolve their customer issues. So, it's not just great for communicating and posting updates, but it's a really great way to get real-time on-the-job support.
On a personal note, Avanade has been recognized as a top company for women in business. You're a woman in business. Is this important for you to work for a company that places such a priority on women working in their workforce?
Vinod is a great place for women to learn, grow, and thrive. We focus on creating learning programs targeted at women to help them acquire the skills necessary to be successful. We also help to provide them with networks and role models and mentors. We have slating guidelines that help us to accelerate our hiring, particularly at the higher levels. And all of these things are important because they help people like me get confidence that this is a place where I can build my career. This is a place where I can grow and be successful.
What do you think is the next frontier for IT modernization? What are we looking ahead toward?
It's a good question. I'm sure that my technologist would probably give you a better answer. I mean, certainly drone technology is on the rise. Drones are becoming bigger and cheaper, and there's applications that are, different than just the hobbyists, the games that we see. But if I were to place my bets, I would think that artificial intelligence and robotics are probably going to be two areas that are going to explode in the next few months, actually. We've already made lots of great strides in those, so I would definitely place my bets on AI and robotics.
In the next few months, really? You think it's that quick?
Artificial intelligence is, artificial intelligence is already on the rise. Robotics are on the rise. In fact, we have lots of great stories where we've successfully integrated robots with humans and have driven productivity. So yeah, I think it's happening now.
And then we're seeing driverless cars coming more
exactly.
Into the forefront.
Exactly.
Could you give us a real world example of how Vinod implemented IT modernization in a real world, real company application?
I can certainly talk about ATB Financial in an effort to make banking more comfortable and to appeal to their younger, more tech-savvy clients. ATB Financial partnered with Vinod and a robotics company to create Pepper the Robot. The idea behind Pepper the Robot was to see if banking customers would feel comfortable getting banking information from a robotic concierge. And so what we did is we strategically placed Pepper the Robot into several branches, and Pepper had a couple of jobs. His job was to greet customers. His job was to recommend banking products and services. He conducted financial literacy quizzes, and he also posed for selfies, of course. And this was a very non-intimidating way to just gauge to see, is this something that people are ready for? And Pepper has been extremely successful. Over time, Pepper has not only succeeded in creating more foot traffic, but he has helped to make banking just a more enjoyable experience for families, and even for people who just don't like going to the bank anymore. And while we continue to gather data on Pepper the Robot, we know that based on what we've already learned, we want to continue to add features to Pepper. And we will continue to partner with ATB to help make people's banking experience even more pleasant and even more innovative.
That's a pretty fun name too, Pepper the Robot.
Yeah. Pepper was definitely a success.
Vinod is really placing an emphasis on giving back to the community. Why is that important?
Vinod is definitely focused on corporate citizenship. Part of what we do, our mission is to help companies implement products to be more innovative. And the people that join Vinod are the people that just want to make it a better world. And these are the people that, find it important to not just help companies be successful, but help people be successful. We're very focused on women's issues, education issues all around the world. We want to make it better. We want to help create a better world. And this is something that is important, not just to Vinod, but to the people that work at Vinod. Corporate citizenship is definitely a key focus for us and very important to us.
Let me ask a broad question. Why, in Vinod's view, do some businesses succeed and others fail?
I'm sure that, different people will provide a different answer to that. I think, generally speaking, most people at Vinod will blame the failure on the company's failure to change and their failure to innovate and their failure to modernize. Again, we spoke earlier about all the companies that were industry giants and could have continued to take leadership roles in the industry, but because they failed to innovate, they're now obsolete. So, we strongly believe that modernization, innovation is the way to thrive and grow and be successful and to survive.
And the reverse is that those companies that succeed and are, experiencing huge successes are the ones that have changed?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the ones that are, the largest growing companies are the ones that, have changed with the times, have embraced the change around them, and, have created innovations. I mean, look at some of the largest companies today. Some of them didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. So innovation, I think, is definitely a key factor. Not the only factor, but a key factor.
Why is IT modernization critical to business innovation? They work hand in hand, but you need to modernize in order to innovate, right?
Again, it's a good question, and you take industry giants like Accenture, Vinod, Microsoft, and all of them understand that the way for companies to grow, the way for companies to thrive, is to optimize their workflows, is to optimize their processes, and innovation, modernization, that's how it's done. So, can a company thrive without it? Possibly. The government does, right? But there's also lots of data that shows that, it's critical to success. Optimizing your workflows, optimizing your processes helps you deliver better goods and services, helps you make your clients happier, and it's definitely a critical factor for success.
I know a lot of companies sort of steer clear about talking about costs, but that's what businesses want to know. Can they afford to modernize? Talk about that.
The initial outlay for modernization, for innovation, is certainly high, and but I think what we need to look at is the cost of not investing, which can be much greater. It is critical for companies to select the right business partners that can help them optimize that initial investment. Because anytime you make that investment, you want to make sure that the ROI that you receive is going to be greater than that investment. And sometimes doing it alone, you can't exactly optimize that investment. So, the high cost of modernization is exactly why it's important for companies to work with the right business partners that know what they're doing, that know how to optimize that investment, and truly help them drive, a significant return on investment.
Yeah. How does a business modernize while staying true to its core historical way of doing things that may have been working well?
Great question. Typically a company's mission, vision, values, goods and services won't change. What changes is the way that those goods and services are delivered. The right technology partner will come in, assess the current state, and help the company optimize their processes and workflows to deliver those goods and services through a seamless integration of technological change that helps, again, to optimize the delivery. So it's not about coming in and totally disrupting the company, totally disrupting the goods and services. It's just about, again, seamless integration to help the company do the same thing, but better, in a more optimized fashion.
Gail, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about Vinod's workflow and how it helps businesses innovate and modernize. Thank you so much.
Derek, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Gail Forkosh, she's the Global Head of Learning and Development for Vinod. I'm Derek Dennis. This is Sarder TV. Thanks for watching.